This tutorial is about a different kind of collision detection called ray collision. It works in exactly the same way as a high-tech security system that uses either infrared or laser beams, which when broken trigger an alarm. So what have we got on the screen? Well, the big blue object in the center here I'm calling a collider object. Over here we have a hit indicator, and then we also have two null objects which I've represented as a triangle and a square. The triangle is a laser and the square a sensor. And if we just bring in a measure and construct, we can see what these two are actually going to do. Just turn on the measure and construct, and as you can see, between the laser and the sensor, I've illustrated our ray collision, which is like a laser beam. And what we're going to do is move our collider object forward through the scene, and when it breaks the laser beam, our hit indicator object over here is going to change colour from grey to red. It should be noted at this point that the collider object is a geometric object, and the expression only works with geometric objects. The first thing we need to do is drag in our collider, laser and sensor objects into the Expresso editor and arrange them as I'm about to do here. Bring that one down there and drag our laser there. And with our collider, at the output stage, we're going to give that an object port. And for the laser, we'll set up a coordinates position port, and exactly the same thing applies to the sensor. Coordinates position. So those three are now set up, ready and waiting for us. Now we need to bring in the node that makes it all happen, and as I mentioned earlier, this is called ray collision, so not surprisingly the node we need to use is called a ray collision node. So we'll bring that in there and have a quick look at it. On the left hand side of the ray collision we have an object port and a ray point 1 and a ray point 2. At the output stage on the right we have a collision detection port, and we can add other ports if we wanted to, but there's no need as this is set up exactly as we need it to be. We'll connect our collider object's output port to the input there, and then we'll wire our laser's position to the ray point 1 and our sensor's position to ray point 2, and that's exactly what we needed to do in order to make this work. So now we're saying that when the object here, the collider object, moves between the two ray points, a collision should be detected. And that's exactly what will happen. And we can illustrate that by using a result node here. Because as with the standard collision node, the output will be a 0 from here if there's been no collision, and if there has been a collision it will be a 1. So we'll just select our collider object and demonstrate this. And if we move our collider until we break the beam, and now you can see that it's actually within the actual cube there, and we're getting a number 1. We take it back out again, we get a 0. Just do that again, a 1, and take it back out again, correct position, a 0. And you can see that it's very accurate. So that's our first stage set up, and now we need to work with our hit indicator and make it change its colour from grey to red when there has been a collision. We'll drag that one in there, and this is actually our final stage because it's not a complex expression. So we'll just go to Basic Properties and select Use Color. And Use Color works in exactly the same way as visibility. If it receives a number 1 at the input, it changes the color. If it receives a 0, it leaves it alone. And we've set the actual color of the hit indicator in the Use Color parameter here. At the moment, obviously there's nothing going on in there because it's being controlled by the ray collision node here. What we'll do is move the collider through the scene now and see if this actually does work. And it does, there we go. When we're touching, it's red, in the gap, touching, in the gap, etc. It works perfectly. So that's our ray collision. And if we just put that back in there, we can see that if we select the hit indicator, that the colour has changed to red. So now we can see how the ray collision node is controlling the use color parameter. Okay, so we're just about finished here with this particular tutorial, and at first glance this is another example of something that looks extremely difficult to actually do, but because the ray collision node is such a powerful node, it actually makes life very, very easy for us. But anyway, that's the tutorial, so I hope you've enjoyed it once again and you've learnt a little bit more, and I'll see you shortly on the next one.